Hello, good evening, and welcome. Welcome. Before I begin this meeting, I would like to read a poem to open the meeting. And the title is Home is Africa. From the highest mountain down to the lowest valley, through the rainforest and out on the desert, her name is known on every lip. In spirit and in truth, she guides the hearts of her sons and daughters. In humility and in strength, she raised them to work for their own fortune. Her seed shall not wither, regardless the storm and thunder. Despite the struggle, they persevere, they will thrive. Black is beautiful, black is resilient. Black don't crack, and so is the African. When we go beyond Africa, we will carry her along. For in our hearts she lives, through our nostrils she breathes, and in our veins she flows. And when we want to go home, we do not forget where we belong, for home is Africa, our motherland. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to Live Grow Conversations July edition. This edition is focused on parenting, and we're going to be talking about parents living their unfulfilled dreams through children. I'd want to remind you that this program is brought to you by Creatives Coterie, an organization that promotes self-development, health, and well-being through art and wellness travel. We are also supported by Adinkra Links Network, a home of enrichment of artists, creatives, and individuals through every form of art. We make art and artists. We're also supported by Sugar Water. You can follow the Links on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Edinkra Links. You can follow Creative Coterie on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Creative CGH. You can also visit our website for more information about the things we do at creativecgh.com. Well. So tonight we have very awesome guests that will be helping us discuss our topic, which is parenting, living the unfulfilled dreams through children. Concerning the well-being of individuals, the issue of parents trying to live their unfulfilled dreams through their children has been one that many young people um, have suffered, and that has affected their well-being in a negative way. So today we are here to discuss that issue and find out why it is so. And at the end of the discussion, we are going to focus on identifying how we can make it better, how we can fix this problem, so that prospective parents and then young individuals like myself will do things differently so that we collectively will have healthy young people and people that have a stable mental well-being, enjoying whatever career they are pursuing in their lives. So that is what we have for tonight. So Miriam, if you are here, we would want you to randomly interact with our audience to know their expectations for tonight, because I know that everyone joining us has something they are expecting to achieve at the end of the night. Miriam, please, if you're here, kindly unmute yourself. Do we have Miriam with us?
Yes. Hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Good evening to us all.
Good evening.
I hope everyone is doing well. Um, yeah. So I would want us to talk about our expectations, and I'll be randomly mentioning our names. So if I get to mention your name, kindly tell me what your expectations are. You could also quickly introduce yourself. So let's start with Albert Abuaje. Albert, what are your expectations for today's meeting? Hello, Albert. Fiona, can you hear Albert?
I cannot hear Albert.
Okay. So, Abigail Amanosi, can you do us the honor? Fiona, is it my network or you
I
can't
can
hear
hear
them?
you clear.
Okay. So, General Marcus, would you like to share with us?
Okay, I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, please.
Yes,
I
we
can
can.
hear.
Okay, I didn't join earlier, so I couldn't get the preamble, but maybe I think we are to share our expectations for this meeting, the things that we expect to know, hear, or learn this evening, if I heard you right.
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I'm General Marcus, okay, popularly known as General Marcus, so we'll go by that name. And my expectation for tonight is to receive knowledge in parenting and also how to care for the children that the Lord trusts me with, whether biological or any other means. The knowledge that I receive to impact in their life, to help train them to become better people in future. So basically, this my expectation for tonight: to receive knowledge, to be a good parent, or to know how to care, train, and impact the little ones that the Lord trusts me with. So God bless you.
Okay. Thank you so much. General Marcus expects to learn about parenting and a few aspects where can you to share. If I mention your name and you wouldn't want to talk, you could quickly type it in the chat box. So let's move on to Kenny. Probably Abigail would want to type that. Kenny, would you want to share with us?
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Kenny.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you, and I can
Yeah,
see you too.
okay. I thank God for this opportunity, and I'm here to be educated, as in receiving from our senior men and women on the topic for today, that's parenting, and also to share my view, to share what I also have concerning this particular topic. Yeah, so this is my expectation. I'm here to learn. I'm here to share as well.
Okay. I think we have some comments. Gamali is saying, can we share our expectations here rather? Yes, you can share your expectations in the chat box if you're not comfortable
Okay.
talking. Sure. Hilda, kindly tell us what your expectations are so we can try our best to meet.
So my expectations for tonight is to know more about parenting as a young adult and things that I can do better as a child as well. Because I'm still living with my parents and I believe they have several expectations from me. So I expect my expectations tonight is to become a better child to them. Thank you.
Okay. The last one, Naden Shua. Please tell us what your expectations are.
Good evening, everybody. Um, My expectation here is for us to share and learn from each other, both parents and young people, because it is what they are experiencing that we are going to talk about here. So it has to come from both parties. So that's what I expect.
It would have to come from both ends. I like that part. Well, let's check quickly if we have any other comments. I think so far we don't have anybody commenting. Yeah, so I'll quickly hand over back to Fiona. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. Thank you too for that. Then quickly, we are going to introduce ourselves. And as we do that, I am your host, Fiona Mobile, and I'm doing this with Miriam Awunle, who just handled the expectations. And I'll be doing this with Hilda Sari as well. We have from the okay, so we have Abigail here, we have and I write, Dorothy, Felix, General Marcus, Kenny, Michael, and all those joining us wherever you are. We welcome you to tonight. So just drop your name, your country, and maybe your social media links in the comment in the chat box as a way of introducing yourself. So let's quickly move on to introducing the guests that we have, our honorable guests. So as I introduce our guests for tonight, I am excited to honor two women who deserve applause for their good work in art and contributing to humanity. And before I do that, we're going to read the biographies of these women, and then you will guess in the comments, or you raise your hand, your electronic hand, and tell us who you think that person is. And yeah, that's how we're going to do it before we review the person. So Miriam, you take that for us. You read the biography of the first woman.
Okay. Did you tell them that they would have to guess who she is?
Yes, I have.
Yes. So please do the guessing in the chat box. Okay. So she's actually a Black woman grandmother writer. She's also a poet. She's a cultural artist. She's an activist and a believer in the power of love. She was born in Berkeley, California, and she was deeply influenced by her experience as a teenager behavior. Is a survivor of abuse, known for working with youth. She holds a BA in business management and spends much of her retired life living between Texas, Ghana, and California in service to people suffering from alcoholism. I like that part actually. In 2005, she developed the South County edition of the Post newspaper group and was awarded the Ella Hatch Hale Award for her contribution to journalism. She expresses herself through writing, poetry, and other forms of art. She'll be releasing her second book of poetry soon, and her work can be found in 6 anthologies. In addition, she is the CEO of Sugar Water, an organization that supports women healing through the arts. She has developed Ohima, quote and unquote, an entrepreneurial cocoon designed to build family, financial freedom, and business relationships, manifesting a creative bridge between Africa and Africans born in America. With focus on women, she said, and I quote, and the collective she light will remove the darkness and make clear the way, unquote. So yeah, let's guess who she is in the chat box while I go ahead to read the biography of the next beautiful woman.
Okay, Miriam,
Okay, so
I think we should take the guesses of this
okay,
beautiful woman before we move on to the next person.
okay. Um,
Yes.
Gamali says our own Mama Makeda, and I write. I guess he was trying to emphasize on Gamali's thoughts. Oh, we also have Sally saying Mama Makeda. We have Mishu saying Mama Makeda. Sure. Do I get to tell them who the person is?
At this point, we cannot hide it anymore.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's our noble Mama Makeda. And I'm amazed that everyone so far hasn't mentioned any other name apart from her.
Yes. Because Mama Makida is a sweet woman. Yes, so from the
Mhm.
fact that she's the CEO of Sugar Water, what more do you want than sweet? Yeah. So Mama Makida, we are so excited to um, honor you tonight. We thank you for your support towards everything that we do. And we also are very humbled to have a woman like you in the arts, inspiring and raising people like us to see the light. Thank you so much, Mama Makida. Please, would you want to respond to us?
Yes, I am so honored to just be here and to really to learn. Someone said a little earlier, just to learn. I have my experience, strength, and hope to give, but I'm really here to learn because it's this generation is gonna free us up, and because of the she light. Thank you, thank you guys for just for inviting me and for allowing me to participate in your programs. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Miriam, take us away.
Sure. Okay, so I'll quickly go through the biography of our second noble woman. She is actually a researcher currently working at the University of Glasgow School of Education. She's a Ghanaian based in Glasgow, Scotland, a PhD candidate at the University of Glasgow. She's a multidisciplinary artist. Her main area of interest is in textiles and Adinkra symbols. She's a textiles and a fashion designer, a creative garment maker. She's an indigenous music composer and singer. She has created numerous bespoke wearable clothing for individuals both in Ghana and in Scotland. Some of her works have been on display at venues, and then she currently has a gown entitled quote and unquote Obasima, meaning virtuous woman, on display at Kelvin Grove Museum and Art Gallery. As a mother and a teacher, she firmly believes that raising children in this modern day technology environment in any part of the world has a lot of challenges, especially when one is living away from home. However, our cultural values, traditional values, and knowledge should not be abandoned just because of our location, but rather be passed on to the next generation. She also strongly believes that it is possible and important to strike a balance between these two. I like her biography so much. Let's guess who she is. Do we have some guesses already? Okay, and I write that I guess I'm winning the guesses. Mrs. Todro. I don't know if I got the name right. So far, he's the only person that has guessed. Um, do we have any other guesses? What if it's not Mrs. Todro? Oh, okay. Mami Abena says Mama Makeda. Mishi says Nancy Ndeke. I like the fact that we have different names coming up. Do we have any more guesses? Oh, we have three people, three different names. Who is seconding who?
Okay. Miriam, tell us
Mm-hmm.
who she is.
Oh, there's another person. He or she says Nana Densua. Okay, so it appears our second guest speaker is giving us a lot of trouble. Okay. So we have another person saying, Mrs. Nadensua. Okay, so I'm really glad that Abigail has come to second, and I right, and so both of them are right. The second guest speaker is Nadensua Todro. I think when she comes, she would mention the last name correctly for me. My bad. Please forgive me. Yes. So
Actually, you had
uh,
it right.
okay. Oh, I'm
Yes.
excited. I should
Yes.
get myself cream. Yeah. Antina, please, you're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for accepting to be here today. We are so honored. We always have Papa here, and we are happy to have Mommy, the pillar, over here tonight. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate you for the good works you're doing in art and also with regards to parenting. I am a benefactor, or should I say beneficiary? Hey, all right. And I am so glad to have known you for quite some time. Thank you so much, and God bless you. All right. So continuing with the introduction, we have Tony Baffo, who is a creative writer, a youth entrepreneur, a parenting and family life coach. Tony, you are welcome and thanks for being here. We also
Wow,
have
thank you so much.
Nesta.
Thank you so much.
All right. We also have Nesta Jojo Eskin. I don't know if I had the very last name correct. I have never pronounced it like I'm doing today. It has always been in my mind. All right. So he is a storyteller, a digital content creator. He's a father of two and loves to explore. Welcome, Nesta.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fiona. Yeah, you got my name correct. It's Nestkin.
Oh, yay. Thank God. So that you know, write a story about. Okay. So our panel is incomplete without our very own Papa. That's Dr. Gameli Tojo, who is the director at the Deeper Links Network, and Nancy Ndeke, an industrious woman in the arts who pen carves and brews very good poetry for the heart, mind, spirit, and soul. She is an African resident in Kenya. Mom, hey, Nancy Ndeke, you are welcome. We are so glad to have you here. Dr. Gameli, we are so happy to have you. And I am excited to have everyone on this discussion tonight. So at this moment, we are going to quickly take a poem from Frank Ofei, and then we dive straight into our discussion. Frank, if you're here, please do us the honors.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Frank.
Please, this poem is titled "Behind a Successful Man." Can everyone hear me? Hello.
Hello,
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm going to begin. Hey, mother. Sorry, my guardian angel. How have you been? Well, I can't stop reminiscing on the reason why you care for me like that. Through my ups and downs, you've been my best. From the sleepless nights when I was young, crying because a scary monster wouldn't let me sleep, to the millions of lullabies you closed my eyes with. Your cooking powers, oh my, so unmatched and divine, feeding my stomach and soul, oh, so fine. And with your showers of wisdom, I could sleep in the jacuzzi all years. Even when I rolled my eyes once or twice, your words guided me like a beam of light. Through my stubborn days, with a rod and a voice, you kept me calm. So, in this uneven rhyme, I would like to thank you for your love and your time. You've shaped me into who I am today, and for that, I'll forever be grateful, come what may. When I look into the mirror, mommy, just a smile brings me the moment we've spent together. A wink, the obstacles we faced, with the hope that we'd come back on track. And whenever I sleep, I pray to you and Abba Father for a new dream from you just to put that smile on your face. All thanks to your mommy, all thanks to your mommy. And I never denied a single one. It was obvious I followed your footpath and continued the journey you weren't able to. How could you be able to? With a baby at your back, come on. It was high time I got down and walked. And voila, success was ours. Voila, a dream fulfilled. Voila, I was given the podium. Yes, that's what I'm standing on now. Reciting these acknowledgements. Everything has just been you and will always be. So I stand here and declare, behind every successful man, you will find her mother whispering the cheat codes. And I write, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. That's a beautiful poem over there. So we're going straight into our discussion, and then we've already introduced our panelists. And I want to begin with Tony Baffo, who is our parenting and and family coach. So the topic for discussion is parenting, living the unfulfilled dreams through children. I want to begin with parenting. Can you tell us briefly what goes into parenting and if there is a specific way or formula for parenting?
Well, thank you so much. What I would say is this, that parenting or being a parent does not mean you are to have a child. And it starts even from the infancy. We have been parents, but we don't know. Some people may think that because they are matured now, they have children now, that's why they are parents. No, it started from their infancy. For example, you being a firstborn. Is are you getting me? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. For example, you being a firstborn, you have started the journey of parent. You being a secondborn also, you have started the journey of being a parent. And parenting is like you living your life, how you are living yourself. So I used to say that parenting is all about personal development, how you have developed yourself, how you have personally led yourself. When you're able to do that, you can lead your children, you can nurture your children. And one thing that we need to know is that parenting is not just about we providing basic needs for children. No, because everybody can do that. And it's not only about we having the children, because everybody can do that. But parenting goes beyond this thing. And that is you giving yourself to nurturing, how you are going to nurture your child, how you are going to feed the child, not only the stomach, but rather the mind. The mind. If you're able to do that, then you are on the path of parenting. So this is what I'll share with you.
Well, I see that there's a lot to parenting than just um, father, mother, and then children.
I tell you,
Yeah,
I tell you.
it does. And so, all right, thank you for that. We are going to take submissions from everyone and we will call for responses. So if a question is asked to somebody and then you have a response to that, you respond to that particular question, and
Okay.
that's how we're going
Okay.
to do it here.
Okay.
So I would move on to Nesta. Nesta, you are a father of two, like you sent to us, like you told us. How has the journey been for you? How has it been like? And if I'm allowed to ask, at what age did you begin parenting?
So the journey, I mean, so far the journey has been good. It has been fulfilling, and then though it comes with its own disappointment and all that, it's been fulfilling. I mean, looking at what you have created and the process that you are taking them through to become who they want to become, and then the realization that at some point you realize that okay, you are doing a good job or you are doing a bad job. That also counts. I do the age. I think okay. So I started being a parent at the age of 29 or 30. I don't know. Yeah, it should be around that point. Yeah, because I got married 3 years later, then our first boy came. Yeah, so it should be around 29, 30 thereabouts that I started being a parent. Yeah, and so far, like you asked, I mean, what are the methods that what goes into parenting, or what are the methods of parenting? What I've come to realize is that, I mean, this job, there is nothing I mean, there is no manual to it. You get up, you
Sure.
have a child, and you decide on the way you want to raise the child. But what I've also come to realize is that most often we raise the kids the way our parents raised us. So that is where, if you don't take care, we keep repeating the mistakes of our fathers or the mistakes of our mothers, because that is what we saw, or that is how we were raised. So we think that, okay, that is the best way to also raise our kids. But at certain point, you have to also become aware, or give yourself the kind of awareness that, okay, this is your child, and you determine how you want to grow the child, or you determine how you want the child to be. So at the end of the day, it's a mixture of things, and then you have to determine how you want the child to go. And then personally, I parenting, I always say that I didn't plan for parenting. You understand? That is also maybe one of the mistakes that I did. Okay, I got married and I realized that, okay, after marriage, I mean, kids will come. So I didn't really set myself up for parenting. Okay, when the child comes, this is the way I'm going to raise the child. No, I didn't have all that discussion, or I didn't even learn. When my wife was, I didn't even take the pain to even learn that. Oh, after the child, what do you do and all that? I decided, okay, once they come, I mean, it's a
You know how
process.
to do it.
Yeah, it's the process, and the process will keep going on and on. So you realize that at certain times it becomes very overwhelming. You don't even know what to do, but you just give yourself the time. Okay, let's just go. We will figure it out as we go along the way. And then it doesn't become easy. Sometimes it's easy, but it doesn't become easy. So you keep going and you keep getting the strength that maybe at some point everything will come into one place, and then it will be better. Yeah. So that is so far my experience with parenting.
Wow, that's so interesting. Um, okay. Now then, Swatojo, our mommy, I want to ask, did you plan for parenting? As Nesta says, he did not plan for parenting, but with you, did you plan for parenting? And as much as I know you transiting from Ghana to Scotland, how was it for you? The change? How was it? Is there any difference with regards to parenting, the parenting style in Ghana and then the parenting style up there? And how were you able to adjust to that? And what are some of the challenges?
Well, thank you, Fiona. Obviously it's very, very different, because there are restrictions here as to what you can do and what you can't do to your child, or what you can say to your child and what you can't say to your child. And at a certain age, what you can say to a child and what you can do with a child or to a child. Back home, like Nesta said, we raise our kids the way our parents raised us. But some of us, the kind of upbringing we got, we decided that we won't let our kids go through the same process. So we made a conscious effort that as the kids are coming, we give them the freedom to think. and then we give them a freedom to do what they want to do, but we give them guidance. Sometimes you, as a parent, tend to be overprotective of your kids. So you tend to do things that, or say things that you try to kind of shield, or in the aim of protecting your child, you tend to smother the child by not letting the child grow, not letting the child flourish, by trying to make sure that the child is safe. You ask the difference between here and back home. Back home, I could shout at my child. I could say, sit here and you sit. Back home, my child at the age of 18, our last one is 18. I don't consider him as an adult. I saw him as a child. But here, at the age of 16, he's an adult. I can't talk to him anyhow. I can't just say anything to him, because in Scotland, at the age of 16, you can vote. You have a voting power. So it's assumed that the child is old. So here, you think with your child, you reason with your child. But I think that the norm is changing back home now. Parents are now thinking with their child instead of authorizing the child or instructing the child to do certain things. Now back home, as I've been going home frequently of late, I've realized that it is not the same as our time, where even when I remember my dad saying to me, if you are 100 years old and I'm still alive, you are still a child. And then if I feel like slapping you across the face when you are misbehaving, I will do it. But now we are friends. You know, that was as far as the discipline goes. You get it? So here you can do that. So that's the difference. There are certain things you say, the child goes to school to say it, and then you are in trouble. The child can just go and say, oh, my mom smacked me, and then you have social worker in your house. If you're not lucky, your child is taken away from you. Yes. So that's how you balance. You don't beat your child just because you want to discipline the child. You reason with the child. That's the difference here. You think with the child. You talk with, you discuss, you have discussions. You don't talk at the child.
All right. Thank you very much for that. You reason with the child. Now, Mama Makida, you're a mother, a grandmother. Tell us about parenting. And yes.
Okay. I had my first child when I was 16.
Well,
And my second child when I was 24. And I'm now 71. So I have children and I have grandchildren. And I will smack them now. Anyway. and my son is 55. I will smack him today. I don't care. We have those same laws here, but if I don't smack him, the police will. So anyway, my take on that is that having thought that that if that Ghana knew the best way, that Africa knew the best way to raise children. If I could just get to the continent, then I would see something different. And having lived here for all of these years and kind of gone back and forth or whatever, I've come to the conclusion that we can't do anything we used to do, and we can't do a whole lot of stuff that we do now, because it's all wrapped in colonialism. And that I would like for this generation to find a new way. Smacking our kids isn't always, sometimes it's necessary, but it shouldn't be the first thing that we do. And but it is, I will be including it always. But I think that we need to do something new, that we need to, and I believe personally that you can't be a good parent unless you worked on yourself. So what do you bring to the table? What are you bringing to as your own experience? I think that as we grow
That's
and
cool.
live, we shine. And we don't have to smack anybody. They just want to be like us because of what we bring to the world. Joy, abundance, love, grace, all of those things. If we work on ourselves, it'll naturally flow over. That's what I've learned. It's been a long learning process, but that's what I've learned today as a grandmother of a 30-year-old. I have a 30-year-old granddaughter and 24-year-old and a 25-year-old, all granddaughters, and they're seeking guidance. But I think they're the ones that will guide us. My answer to them is always, be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. For everything, there's a season, and this is our season to come together as a people and live in the promised land, which to me is, within myself, the God that lives within me. That is the renewing of my mind. So that means I have to shed colonialism and not do everything that I learned because my great grandparents were slaves. And so it's like they did things, they beat us and made us. There's a lot of things that happened in my childhood that I didn't do. We learn one generation at a time. But I am really praying that this is the generation that breaks the chains for real and brings us all back home. So that's my take.
Wow,
Wow.
that's so beautiful.
Wow.
Yes. See, I don't have much to say. I'm just learning and then noting stuff. So if you're here with us this evening, I would want you to have your pen and then your notepad. Do all to take notes. These are words of wisdom, and you may not get them all the time. So take this opportunity to pen down these words of wisdom from our very honorable guest. If you have questions too, kindly put down your questions. We'll get to that point where you have to ask questions and then you drop them in the comments. And apart from that too, if you have a feedback or something you want to say, you type it in the chat box for us. Thank you very much. Okay, so Dr. Gameli Toju, so far it's been a very interesting discussion. Would you want to respond to any of our panelists?
Thank you very much, Fiona, and all those who have contributed to this setting up the program, but also contributing with their experience, knowledge, and ideas. I think I'll just respond briefly and generally to all the submissions. I have come to an understanding and a realization that our children actually, to a large extent, are our ancestors revisiting us through us. And so we are only hosts, There is a scientific explanation to that, but also culturally, where I come from, when you have a child, the elders will try and find out which ancestor it is that is arriving again through you. So with that as guidance, there's only one way we can bring up children, by hosting them as respectfully, as compassionately, as humbly as we can. And through that, we learn. We learn a lot. We learn a lot from our children. We have many changing different experiences from when a child is born, from when you see the first smile to when they mention your name the first time, to when they start to speak, when they start to walk, when they start to challenge you. And then when they become adults, when they become your friends, all that is supposed to improve us. So there's only one way you can respond to that. However, there's no manual. There is no single manual on how to raise a child. So you have to figure it out, and that process of figuring it out, of learning from other people's experiences, of just being there and, receiving the realization as it comes, that is also your own journey, and for those of us who are parents, as well as those of you who are getting ready to be parents, you have to just open up and receive that as a gift. So I see parenting as a massive gift if we can open our hearts to it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Papa, for that submission. He sees parenting as a gift. And yes. Sometimes it's as though parents should be paid an allowance for parenting. But then I'm quoting our late president Atta Mills, who said teachers, their reward is in heaven. So parents, your reward is in heaven. You'll be greatly rewarded when you get there. Okay, thank you very much for all your submissions. Like I am learning a lot from you all. But at this point, we're going to take our comments, and if there are questions from anybody, you can raise your hand or you type it in the chat box for us so that we engage those questions. Or should I call people? All right. So if we do not have any questions at the moment, that's fine. We'll just continue our discussion. And also, before we move on to the next step, where we are going straight into the issue of parents fulfilling their dreams through their children, I would want us to take a break and take some beautiful music from Mishu. Mishu is a musician. She is a Kenyan, and she is here to pour out her heart and soul onto us and bring us greetings from Kenya. So after the music, we'll also take a poem from Sally DeGraft, and then we continue our discussion. Mishu, can we have you now? While Mishu is taking the music, if you have questions, comments, just drop them in the chat box. We'll engage them. Mishu.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Greetings, everyone. Are you able to hear me now?
I'm able to hear you clearly.
Okay, great. So first of all, thank you. Thus far, I've truly learned a lot, and it's truly encouraging within even just the context of the conversation. It's truly encouraging to know that even if I may refer respectfully to them as such, our elderly, our senior citizens, the ones that have been before us and have treaded, the path that perhaps similarly or not, we're also treading. It's very encouraging to see and hear, such, courteous and kind reasoning. Gameli said, and I've written this down, our children are our ancestors revisiting us. And I feel as though that's so powerful, and infinite. So thank you for even reaching, such a point of reasoning. And as Mama Makida said, definitely this generation will set everything and everyone free, because why not? Yeah. I am Mishu, and tonight, in celebration of us coming together and having such an important conversation, I actually wrote a song today, and I extend my gratitude to Fiona. I decided to just randomly ask Fiona how to say welcome in, her mother tongue, and she enlightened me. And the word is wozo, wezo, right? So in celebration of us coming together and, just first of all, having a conversation that's really, really important, and, breaking the borders and the distances between us to have this. This is a dedication to all of us here. And once again, I'm truly grateful for having I on this platform. Karibu sana, oh dear sister, it's been such a long time. Karibu sana, oh dear brother, and the journey is still home. So let us celebrate. Be kind and loving to each other. Praise all my people. Hey, we are present. Yeah, see, and we are proud. We did not build these borderlines, so we will not be the ones to uphold them. Oh, my people, praise on. Praise on. Praise on. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Wow. Who else is feeling what I'm feeling? Of course, you can't feel what I'm feeling, but I'm speechless. This is so beautiful. Thank you, Mishu, for that. God
I'm
bless
grateful.
you. richly. Thank you so much. All right. So let's take a poem from Sally DeGraft. And with this, Mishu has welcomed us with a beautiful song from Kenya. So our mommy, Nancy Ndeke, will be the first person we'll be interacting with after Sally DeGraft's poem. Sally DeGraft, let's hear from you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, it's 7:56 p.m. in Ghana. Right about time to share with you this intimate piece, but mind you, this is my tragedy, so pay close attention. I'm a dry seed lying below light surface. This isn't my moment to bloom or blow. I died before my time. But no, don't get me wrong. I labored through the hands of my farmers. I labored through their eyes, strength, and ego. And now this is my end. I have nothing to show, nothing to write home about. And even though this is my very own story, my own tragedy, I'm not proud to tell it. Once upon a time, mother wanted to be a doctor. She raised her standards too high, far above her potential. She couldn't labor much, and she thought it true that if she couldn't be that doctor, her potent and strong seed could, right? Father, on the other hand, was aspiring to be an engineer, to play with oils, to run machines, machines I simply couldn't fathom. Time passed, chances slipped, through their fingers, dreams dipped. So hand in hand, my parents let their dreams entwine. They gathered their strength and made me a great fruit of their own dreams, an opportunity, a second chance to reach the skies. In the shadows of their dreams, I stood with a child with dreams of mine misunderstood. They longed for me to walk the paths they missed, to chase the dreams they couldn't resist. But in their quest, they forgot I had dreams too. So now here lies me, a dry seed who could not live to become what my heart aspired. In the shadows of their aspirations, I tried to grow, to nurture the dreams that only I could know. But the weight of their expectations held me down. I was a vessel for their dreams, a canvas painted with strokes of their ambition. But deep within, my own dreams lay untold, waiting for a chance to unfold. As time passed, my story renewed. I found my voice to share my dreams, to make a choice. For I'm more than just a vessel of their will. I am a seed with dreams to fulfill. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Nancy Ndeke, I'm so honored to have you tonight. And from Sally's poem, I'd want to ask you, are children allowed to dream, to have their own dreams?
Hello. You can hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you perfectly.
Thank you very much. Did you ask a question?
Yes, please, I did.
All right.
Yes. So I asked if children are allowed to dream.
Are children allowed to dream?
Yes.
All right. Well, I asked you to repeat because I'm a senior citizen. Sometimes the hearing doesn't come in.
All right.
Please,
can you hear
me? Yes, I can hear you now.
All right.
Great. So are children allowed to dream?
Yes.
Well, I was my father's daughter. I was my mother's daughter. And they allowed me to dream within the perimeter of the understanding. I'm a 60s child. The missionaries arrived in my father's time. They were still skeptical about what was being taught outside, away from their eyes. My parents were beneficiaries of a system they didn't trust. And they allowed me to go through the system they didn't trust. So they had their rules that they made, and they had their rules that they inherited. So I'm a product of the rules my mother and my father made. I'm a product of the rules the community made. I'm a product of the rules that were brought in by those who brought the education system the way we understand it. And within that expanse and limitation at the same time, I was allowed to dream as my parents' child. I am a mother, I am a grandmother. I'm only 60 years old. And I have allowed my children to dream and my grandchildren to dream. Because we cannot, you as an individual cannot be responsible for killing someone's dream. That is murder of the worst kind. Children should be allowed to dream, but in an unhealthy manner. We can't sell our dreams to our children. But they must be smart. I'm reminded of what Dr. Gamil said about our children being our ancestors. And I know this is a man who is gifted in many ways besides playing the guitar and the drums. He's also comes lucky because his companion in his life is also a gifted individual. This is a home of gifted people. So in honor of his words tonight, I am asking, because I am not a custodian of knowledge or information. I'm a learner and a child still. How about if the children are the one who picks their parents? At what point then do you even think you can steal their dream? If they looked at you and decided, you're going to be my mother, you're going to be my father, it means they trusted you, and you cannot betray that trust by diverting them from their dreams. So there may be no money, but I don't think a newborn child is given a manual for those who know on how to lock on the breast to breastfeed upon birth. There is no manual, and yet they know. So we come with knowledge. Between the entry point and settling down in the environment, I am not sure what happens, but a lot of the manual is lost. But with time we gain. This conversation that we are having right now, it's not an accident. Because we are all, now Densua, my sister, has shared with us tonight how she has held 2 continents together to raise a child. I do not know how much she sacrificed. What I know, in my 20s, I had a temper that was yellow like light. So if I was there, they would have dropped me in Chogori in no time. She must have held her breath, maybe clenched her teeth, because she couldn't act the way the environment of her hometown taught her to act when a child did certain things. But she survived because her last born is 18. And she did not just survive, she thrived. So I think within us, we have the capacity to change and embrace the change for the benefit of nurturing a child's dream, so that we don't fashion our will and our might just because we can protect. So that we don't sell what we failed to sell in our youth to children and therefore rob them. And I believe that it's in the process of doing those things that we wish to introduce in our children's dream. There's something called helicopter parenting. I had some. So we disallow ourselves that. We distance ourselves. Because the Asians were not wrong when they say that we borrow the earth and the future from our children. It loops back. That statement loops back to what Dr. Gamel said. Our ancestors are our children. We cannot afford to misguide them. We cannot afford to fault them. We owe them broad shoulders for them to stand on and to hold their dream. Because when they do that, there's a better tomorrow for all of us, for our generations. This is what
Wow.
Mad told us about. And she put a prophetic word out there. This is the generation that, I don't know, there's a light that is speaking the same language. The words may be different, but when you hear the tone is the same, that hope has come, it has arrived. I'm not surprised that we are talking about this at this hour. Here it's 11 o'clock, 7 minutes past. But we are having a conversation. And thank you for giving me space to feel part of this change that is coming to be. Thank you.
Thank you. A change is coming. So Mama Makida says we are the generation to set us free. Nancy Decker says change is coming. So we are the change. So if you are here and you're part of this generation, a great responsibility lies on your shoulders. That is why you're here tonight, to listen to the wisdom of the old, to guide your path through this era. Thank you very much, Nancy. With your response, I would want to ask this question, and then, but before then, does anyone want to respond to Mama Nancy? Nesta, Papa Gameli, Mama Makida, Nadenswa. Would you love to respond?
I would like to say something in response to the last speaker. I think it's Na.
Okay.
What was the last speaker? What was her name?
Nancy Ndeke.
Yes, no. Excuse me. I've been away from home for a long time.
Okay.
I love what you said, and I believe that not only is this generation handed the opportunity to give new birth to how we parent our children, but also the idea, which is true, that they raise us. So as a 16-year-old, my son, who is now 55, raised me, so to speak, because I had to move in the world in a different way than most 16-year-olds. And I'm grateful for that today. It saved my life. But it's like, I just hope that just what she just said, the experience that I had here in the United States is different from in Africa. And I see where we get our ideas from. They're rooted in our bones. And they're practiced faithfully in Ghana and in Africa, but not here. And so we have strayed away from traditions sometimes and stuff. But a lot of it is because it's not something that we do anyway. It's foreign to us, that was imposed upon us here. And so when I'm listening to her, and then I combine that with my own experience, it just so puts a stamp on, for me, the truth that this is the generation This, and it's going to be a new, it's going to be a new freedom. It's not going to be one we saw before, because I don't think we were free, especially women. And it's not going to be one that some of us have participated in. It's going to be a new freedom, and the men will provide and protect, and we will give birth. So I agree with her. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Nesta, what do you say?
Yeah, I don't think I will say much to what has already been said. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, looking at it from the generation that they are speaking from, I think we can just be quiet and listen to them, because this is different voice, and I know there's a different voice of inspiration. I mean, it's different from what we are used to hearing. So at this moment in time, I'm just taking the back seat to listen to all these words coming from, I mean, beyond. I mean, it's like something spiritual. You don't get to listen to this. I mean, I don't remember the last time I had a conversation with somebody who is even beyond 50 or 60. I mean, it's always a conversation between my colleagues and then the people who are just around my age group. So at this moment that I'm listening to people from that age bracket, I mean, it sounds so special that I just want to keep quiet and listen to whatever they have to say, because this is new. This is like something I should have known, but I don't know. So you just have to listen to them and then take note, so that in the near future, you can also put it to use. So yes, I'm enjoying the discussion so far, and the voices that are speaking. It's awesome.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. Let's continue our journey. All right. So, Dr. Gameli, would you want to respond to us?
You are muted.
Okay. So I said so much to myself. Sorry about that. So I was saying that it's, I agree with everything that Nancy said, and Mama Makida's response to that. I've had many different conversations with Nancy, and every time she speaks, whether in poetry or just, there is so much wisdom. There's so much enrichment to take from that, and that brings to it brings to mind the idea of having conversations. It was interesting to hear Nesta say that he's not been in conversation with people of my generation for quite some time, and I think, for that, it means that what you've put together, Fiona, is so special and so important, and I must commend you, at this point, for even thinking about, about doing this and actually going ahead to carry it out. We need these conversations. We need this interaction.
Sure.
We need these kind of enrichment. Is priceless, as we mutually enrich each other, we all become better and better. So, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say in response.
All right. Tony, I can see you.
Yeah.
You really have something to say with regards to this. Are children allowed to dream?
With regards to what, please? Hello, Fiona.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you said with regards to something, and I want to hear.
Yes, so we are still on the issue of are children allowed to dream? And then we just had a powerful submission from Nasim
Yes,
Deke and
please.
responses
Yes,
from,
please.
yes.
Yeah,
So
thank
what's your
you.
take?
Yeah, with the children, each and everyone comes with their own dream. And if you're not careful as a parent, you missed out with that one. Even the Bible say is said it perfectly well that we should train up a child in the way that he should go. Meaning every child has a particular way that they are going. And we being parents, we are just there to mentor them. So in simple terms, when you talk about parents, you're also talking about someone who's going to be a mentor. If you're not careful as a mentor, if you're not careful as a parent, you may try to disturb the flow of their dream. Maybe to them, or God has ordained them on a particular task, and you are going to see it from another different realm. If you don't discern, if you don't discern, you will let the child live a particular dream that is not according to what he or she is supposed to dream. So every child is there, like we should allow them to dream, and we should just create boundaries for them as they are dreaming. We should just create boundaries for them and build them up in that boundary so that they will not supersede. For example, if we are saying that children should dream, and why is it that I can't remember, we asked the child, and the child said that in future he wants to be an armed robber. So the child is dreaming now. Are we going to say that, because the child is going to, like he's dreaming, should we allow that child to dream? No, we have to straighten, we have to mentor, we have to monitor, we have to create boundaries, and it's going to help that child in future. Maybe he has seen guns, and from that angle, he thought guns are only for robbery. But guns, it's in the professional sense, it's for the police, those who are police, and also the military. So we can just psych the person's mind that no, it is not about what you saw or what you heard, but this is from the angle that we want you to dream, or we want you to be in line. So if you were a parent, just come to the understanding of your child and know that every child is going on a path. Every child has a purpose. Every child, like if we don't take care, our children, they are going to blame us that we zoomed into this profession not because of my own decision, but because of my mom, because of my dad. But meanwhile, the child can be in a good sense of carpentry, in a good sense of electrician. But because we want, in quotes, we want this professionalism as a white collar job, we just try to position them or fix it, like we want them to be fixed in that path. No, they have a path that they are going. So we should let them be on that path. Let them discern and know that path. Let them discern, like we should discern, being parents, discern to know that, this my child is good in counting. Maybe this child can be mathematician. This my child is good in writing. This child can be in the field of authorship. As for my child, he or she can can talk a lot with a sense of use of speech. So you can see from the angle, we have seen a lot of poets here. So this child can be what? A poet. So if you don't try to measure that, you will say that, let me detect for them, let me impose what I want them to do. So every child is dreaming. I don't want to say that they can dream. No, children are dreaming. If you can check the old setting, this children's style of the family setting, in quotes, in chief. I know foreigners are on board. That's as in mommy and papa. That family setting, as you be seeing the children playing with the cooking. Let me be the mom, let me be the dad. Taking for instance that I'm a banker. I've come from bank, come from my staffs there. All these things are in line to let us know that the children are dreaming. So we have to mentor them, we have to shape them from the angle, and they're going to be awesome for us.
Wow. Thank you very much for this. So now that we have established...
Fiona, let me also say something small. to what Tony just said, that when it comes to children dreaming, I always feel like dreams happen in an environment within a confinement, and then it doesn't transcend the horizon of the child. So looking like a child who was born in a village and then growing up in the village, I use myself as an example a lot. And when I read Mohammed's book, Coup d'etat, it also, kind of confirmed my idea of dreams. That at a certain point, Muhammad wanted to be a bus driver, because when he's going to school, we watch the bus driver and the kind of authority the bus driver wielded on the children. It feels like if he becomes a bus driver, then he's also going to wield the same authority, and it looks fun. So all his childhood dream at that point in time was to become a bus driver. I've also had that instance where I lived. I was living with my uncle, and then he was selling, is it spare part, or he just picked things and then he transformed them into something that can be sold. And he always come with money. So I felt like, okay, then that is a good job, because if he goes out and he comes with money, then it means if I also do the same thing, I'll have money. And that is how kids are. Kids want to be happy. They want to see things. They want to do things that will make them happy. So specifically, they lean towards things in that moment that will make them happy. So that is why I believe that the parenting comes in. So you realize that, okay, the kid is specialized in this area, like he is saying, but all of a sudden, because he saw something, anything that the kid see comes from what he observed or she observed. It's not coming from vacuum. So they are like, they take things from the environment and try to shape it into their own dreams. So my boy here wants to be a Batman. Every day he's the Batman, he's playing, he's the Batman. I'm even scared that he will throw himself from a building, and then by the time I realize he's dead, because he wants to be Batman so much. You understand? But they don't understand. But we have been here long before they came. So we have certain level of understanding of the environment. That is where we as a parent, we have to impact that into them to direct their path, not necessarily pushing them on a path, but rather directing their path, directing their footsteps. No, this is good. No, this is bad, but not necessarily forcing it, because as we also know, dreams also change. Because at the end of the day, today he wants to be a carpenter. Maybe tomorrow you also want to be something else. And at that moment, or today he's good at something now, but tomorrow he will no longer, the interest will shift. So you're no longer interested in what maybe right from the onset you as a parent believed that, okay, my child is going to be good in this, so let me mold or let me direct him to that. But at a certain point in time, it will change depending on the environment or depending on the horizon, because no child can see beyond his or her own horizon. So if you live in a village, your dreams will confine in a village, the settings of the village. It can't go beyond the village. And when you are moved out of the village to another area, that is where you also say, oh, there is a new world out here. I wrote a story about my childhood in Mankesim. And when I was a child, the whole world was Mankesim to me. If you cross beyond that horizon, I feel like you are lost. So when people travel and they come back and they are telling me, I feel like they are talking about a whole new world out there. Because to me, I haven't traveled. I've lived from class 1 to JSS. All my life has been in Manchester. Vacations, the longest or the farthest place I'd gone was Salt Pond to go and see the sea. And I saw the sea and I was like, okay, so what is beyond the sea and all that? So you ask yourself questions, and that is only place you can. So the richest man in Manchester, what he was doing, that was what I also wanted to do. But I realized that you travel outside Manchester, you like, no, there is a different life out here, and your dream may also change depending on the things that you see. So as parents, our work is to guide. Like the others said, that they are here for us to host them. So as a host, you can only tell them, this is how it's done. This is what you just allow them to grow. You just allow them to flow. You just allow them to be fluid to the direction. They are just like the sunflower. They will always lean to where the sun is shining brighter. So you don't have to just pull them back and then you say that, okay, just shine a fence and move away from the sun because it's too bright. It will hurt your eyes. It's too scorching. It will hurt your skin and all that. You just allow them to flow towards their calling. Thank you very much.
Fiona, can I add something to this?
Yes, please.
Nesta, you are right. Kids learn from their environment. What they see is what they do. So Kofi and Akosua see mommy playing mom and dad, and they want to play mom and dad.
Sure.
Kofi sees police officer in a neat uniform coming up and down. The same way Nikoyama sees Auntie Adole boxing. And then they'll grow up and they want to see Nikoyama become Nikoyama and Adole boxing, beating each other because that's what they see. But move them out of that environment and they get into another environment and they change. The same way I've seen dreams happen. We are living Fiona's dream right now. I've heard a lot of conversations going on between all the kids, papas, or should I say, Adinkra Link's kids, individual conversations between Papa and each or every one of you on this platform. One dream is the night owl. Another dream is this one. There are other dreams that turn into poetry books. There are other dreams that turn into other things. So it depends on the conversation and who you are having the conversation with. I like this platform particularly because of the mixture. It's not just for poets or it's not just for writers. It's for adults and the young to mingle, to share ideas, to grow together. So it's a like a melting pot of adulthood or learning. There's no formula to parenting, like it said earlier on. It is all about experiences, people sharing their experiences, what worked for them and what didn't work. So you may see that maybe it is flowing so well here, but I will give somebody the same advice what I use, the formula I use for my bringing up my kids, it may not work for that person.
Sure.
Because I'm living in a different environment. I'm doing things differently. There are some nuances. There are some tiny ways. You have to learn your child. I don't believe in boundaries when raising a child. I believe in guidance. You guide the child. You like Nesta said, you when the child is looking at the sunflower is looking at the sun, that is where they get their energy. You don't say you are staring too much at the sun, so turn this way. When you do that, it's like you're telling the child you can't continue your dream or you can't live what you have, what you've been gifted. If truly our kids are forefathers or ancestors visiting us, that means that the work they came to do is not finished. They have to come and complete it. So we have to give them the guidance that they need to complete the work they came to do. The little I wanted to add was that dreams come true and that we are living Fiona's dream today. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
so if I want to share this one. So this means that we, being single, we need to pay attention to our life because of our children. Okay. And we have to explore more just for our children. If we really want our children to also live a good life or have the good life with the previous submissions, with the where the child be born and where the child be raised and stuff. If the parents or if us, we don't have much knowledge concerning the environment, the child will find it difficult to stay in that environment. Am I right?
Yes.
Can I mention something quickly?
All right.
My experience with my mom.
Okay.
And it was an experience of friendship. So there was this closeness that went beyond mother and son to friends, friends in every sense. And for me, it's what it resulted in is that it made me understand so many things about my mom so easily. That way, that may not have been obvious to probably the rest of my siblings, and I always say to a lot of people that what you see and get from me is an extension of my mother's principles, understanding, and way of life. And that couldn't have happened without a friendship. So friendship, developing a very strong, healthy friendship with your children is very, very, very important and crucial in bringing up children.
Wow. Okay. Papa, are you done?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's awesome. So currently we've established the fact that children are allowed to dream, and then parents
Yeah.
are to serve as guides to their children and then help them fulfill their dreams. So that means that with our main concern, which was parents trying to impose their dreams onto children, the discussion so far has clearly brought it out that if I am right, this discussion is letting us know that it is not the best to impose
Thank
your dreams onto your children.
thank you.
And then I thinking about it, I feel that when the moment you have the thought of bringing a child into this world, then you should begin to plan how you would continue your dreams, whether you have fulfilled them or not. You should begin to plan how you're going to fulfill them without being tempted to impose them onto your children. If fortunately your children look at you and then they decide to emulate you or live like you, that is fine and that's beautiful. But then if they learn from their environment, from the people they interact with and everything, and they feel that they want to be something else than what you are doing, then that is where you need to put all emotions aside, because I know definitely you'll be very hurt, but you have to put emotions aside and guide them. Like Papa said, we are hosts. Now, I'd want to ask this question. We are all saying guide, guide, guide. So it means that the role of the parent never ceases in the lives of children. Now, at what point does a parent back off? Does a parent say, okay, so at this point, I'm taking a break? Swim.
Okay.
If you bump into something, fine. If you scream for help, I'm there. But at this point, I'm not swimming with you. So at what point does that happen? This is an open question to all my panelists. So
Okay.
who
For
is
me,
responding first?
that's Tony.
All right.
Okay. For me, what I will say is parenting does not end. Okay. Does not end. It ends when the child is in the grave.
Mhm.
It ends when the child is in the grave. Like our grandma. Our grandma has been doing the parenting for a long time. Also parenting the grandchildren. They get it. So any idea now, she is serving as a mentor with the grandparents and with the grandchildren, and also her children as well. So any information, any knowledge, any guidance, as we have been discovered already, that parenting is about we giving out guidance. So any guidance, they are still there. The parents will still be there to provide that guidance. So I think parenting can't be ended.
Okay.
Yeah, and like he said, I think at some point we as parents have to understand that parenting ends, but how do you call it? You can't stop being a parent. So you have to differentiate between the two. Parenting can stop at, not end it, but can stop at certain points and just become a parent yourself. So at that point, for instance, you are living with your kids, you guided them, they went to school, and now they've left home, that they've left the nest to go and live their own lives. They now started their own family, that they also are coming to start something of their own. At that point, I don't think, unless they come to you for guidance, unless they come to you with something that is bothering them, or unless they approach you with a certain issue, that is when it's like, that is the point that you can also come in, because parenting has to stop somewhere so that the child can also take the lessons and all the information that is gotten from you to also continue the life from there. But if we keep parenting, or if we keep parenting the child, that is where there is going to be friction. Because, for instance, my mom taught me how to drive. So anytime she's sitting next to me and I'm driving, she tries to guide me. Even though I've been a driver for, let's say, over 10 years now, but she still wants to tell me, say, I'm doing it wrongly, just because she taught me how to drive. So anytime she's sitting next to me, like, you are ready, you don't want to make a mistake, you don't want to do something that she will question you. So, but parenting it's not like that. We get to a certain point, you allow us to make our own mistakes. You allow them to go to the world and face the world as it is, so that they can come back to you and say that, okay, you told me this is not working. How do I go? But then you continue to provide that guidance, and you continue to give your opinion. At that point, it becomes opinion. Whatever you give to your child becomes an opinion. It's not law. It's not order. It's not like when they were living with you and then you were telling them to do this, do that. No, by this time, you are suggesting something to them so that they can implement it and see. If they can decide not to take it, they can take it. And at that point, parenting has stopped for you, and you are now being a parent by giving them guidance. And also, we should be able to draw the line where there is parenting and where you become a parent. Thank you.
I'm
You're
tempted,
welcome.
Can I offer
I'm
some?
tempted to ask, what is parenting?
Okay.
Can I offer something?
Mama Kida. Yes, please.
So yesterday, my eldest granddaughter turned 31, and her parents and I and the young man she's dating all went out to dinner, and I didn't have a role. It used to be my role was to pay for everything, and then my role was to bring, the big gift, and then, on so on and so forth. But I really didn't have a role yesterday. Matter of fact, they paid for everything. And I saw that. I experienced that. Oh, I don't have a role here anymore. And I said that to say that I know what my role is now, because I'm in that place where I know when my kids are connected to the spirit within, and that's who they ask their questions to, and that's where they get their answers from, I'm free. And so when they come, my granddaughters just tell me more than I want to know. But when they come to me, my direction is to lead them to the God that lives within them and get the answers themselves. I want them to practice that, to stop looking outside of themselves for answers or fixing things or whatever. But I'm 71 now. And I just experienced that yesterday, is that I what's my role? But it's a beautiful thing too, is to watch the things that we've done all of these years come to fruition. And I really love the idea of, and I think that's what first elementary school should be, is trying to find out or looking at your children to see what it is, the gifts that God has given them, and to support that, because then they'll truly be free, and they won't be working. They'll be living their lives. So yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, I'm there now. I'm free. I will be in Ghana in a minute.
Hey. Can't wait to have you. Thank you very much. Yes, Papa, you were saying something.
Oh, Mama Kida, thanks so much for sharing that, because that's a different insight altogether. But when Nesta was speaking, I began asking myself, so should we have defined what parenting is at the beginning of this? Because it looks like we all have different perspectives, you know. So if parenting is, from my perspective, a very strong friendship with your children, you know, then that totally creates a different dynamic, you know. If parenting is guiding your children, that's also a totally different dynamic. But I'm tempted to think that all that put together is what it should be. You know, there shouldn't be an either or about parenting. That's why from the beginning I was saying there's no manual.
Yeah.
And we need to, you know, we need to be able to sense ourselves and sense our connection with those we engage with, you know, in the whole endeavor of parenting, because, you know, most of the time you realize you're not the only one, or you're not the only ones if there are two of you parenting your children. You know, these days your children spend more time at school than they spend at home.
Okay.
You know, and so how do you create the condition where the kind of values that you uphold in your parenting does not diminish when your children are not with you, when other people are taking up the role of parenting in your absence? You know, so I think maybe in another session we should look at what parenting is. You know, what we define, what we understand, you know, how do we negotiate our understanding about parenting?
Parenting. Wow.
So
Thank you very
can
much, Papa.
can I add to this?
Yes.
I think to be friends with your children, it includes everything when it comes to parenting. Because you want to create an environment where they can come to you and talk to you about everything and anything. But then you still have to instill the discipline in them.
Okay.
It's like you having a friend. There are things that you like and you don't like, right? There are things that your friends do that you can't take, and there are things that they do that you like. There are things that they do that you can tell them no. There are things that they do that you can tell them, yeah, you can applaud them when they are doing right and all that. So I believe that the friendship that Papa is talking about, from my perspective, it includes everything that we are discussing. Because if you are friends with your child, you can nicely tell the child that, look, you are going wrong. Instead of, you see, the stand, I used to do that. Instead of being calm and talking to our children, the beginning, because I had that upbringing from my parents or from whoever my grandmother raised me. So I have uncles in the house. Everybody is inputting in my upbringing. And that's one thing we don't have here. Back home, a child is born to a community. It's not just born and raised by one person. Auntie is inputting in the child, uncle is inputting in the child, grandparents, everybody, even tenants in the house or neighbors in the community are helping you to raise your child. When your child is walking on the street and misbehaving, one parent can lash the child, smack the child, bring the child home, tell your parents or tell the parents, and the parent will also discipline you in front of the person who brought you. But then we've lost all this. Due to modernization, we've lost this. Striking the balance between friendship and discipline is a fine line. That's what I want to bring up. It's a fine line, striking the balance between friendship, where you can open up and also allow the child, tell the child where they go wrong and where you don't. So when we talk about friendship, it's not a friendship where there is no discipline, but there is discipline.
Friendship where there is discipline. And thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. At this point, I let me bring this in and then we take questions. I think someone else.
I wanted to ask something, but since you would open for question, then I'll come in that during that period.
All right. Tony, your hand is up. Tony, please, your hand is up. Okay, then let me continue. When he comes in, then we talk about it now. Nesta mentioned that the environment. So with our generation, because today I keep hearing our generation is the light, the change, the light, and all that. But this our generation is where we are exposed to a lot of things that both good, bad, beautiful, ugly, everything, every shade of everything. So the question is, how do you actually guide a child in a generation like this, where where we are exposed to answers even before we come to ask. It's like before we come to ask the question, we already have some answers there before coming. So how should we handle this? Papa, it looks like you want to say something with regards to this.
Fiona, ask the question again. I was a bit distracted giving an answer on the text.
All right. So the question is that our generation, we are exposed to a lot, and the media, the social media, gives us a lot of answers. And even before we come asking a question, we already have like 10 or more answers with regards to it. So since we are all saying that we should guide the children in the path that they should go, how do we do it in this particular era?
Yeah, I think a bit of that is what I was saying earlier on. You know, that there are so many different options. You know, and you know, in addition to that, we don't have a manual. But as regards, you know, what we are exposed to now, what the new generation is exposed to now, it's all about, you know, using your common sense. You know, we all have innate human qualities that guide us, you know, for want of a better way of putting it. Our intuition is very powerful if we use it, you know. So if you use your intuition well, it will guide you to where you're supposed to go, and it will guide you in what you do. Now, when you take social media, it's a double-edged sword.
Hmm.
So if you have the right emotional intelligence, which most of the time you get from people around you, the quality of interaction you have with others, then you should know how far you can go. You should know where you can stop, amongst all the, the multitude of information that's coming at us, you know. So
All right.
again, there is no clear-cut way of saying that this is what works for everybody, you know. Some people can stay hours on end on social media, and what it does for them, will be different from what that would do for me, because I may not be doing the same thing that they are doing on social media. Some people, live on social media, and that's where they get their income,
Hmm.
and they know what to do.
Hmm.
Your child may not
Wow.
know exactly what to do. Your child may fall in the hands of rogues. So again, it's all about, you know, navigating all those spaces with care, with love, with compassion.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, with regards to this, I like to take a question from the name here is user. I don't know your name, but kindly type your name. Let's know if you could rename yourself. That would be best. All right. So he is saying that we keep talking about how the generation we are in currently is different. And with that being true, how do we as parents deal with issues coming up like owning voices or owning certain identities? I mean, we are technically living in a world where you give birth to a strong and healthy child only for he or she to say she identifies as a disabled, even though she's perfectly fine. And there's a follow up. How are parents supposed to deal with such instances? Do they support and accept their children as they are, or they just leave them be as they no longer their responsibility? Okay. Also, when does parenting end? Okay, so do they allow them to be as they want to be? A typical African parent will tell you, hell no. But then let's hear from our guest, our panelist. Um, who would want to take this? Because this one, I don't know who to assign it to. Okay, Nadensua. Yes. I
Somehow,
want you to answer this. Yes,
somehow
because
I
we
knew you
have.
were coming to me. Yeah. The question is in folds. So
Yes.
I'm going to take it in bits and see if I can answer some of them. Like we've all established, there is no manual to parenting, but lived experiences. Lived experiences becomes the manual. What worked and what didn't work. That is what we use as parenting. We've all gathered how do you call it? Experiences from our grandparents, our parents, and everybody who has raised the child well. And then again, I come to say that there is the environment in which you raise your child also counts a lot. The circumstances under which you raise your child also counts. It counts, but you as parents it's not about guidance, but it's about the bond between you and your child. You can live in the poorest community or the poorest environment, and your child will turn out 100%. It's because of how you relate to your child. I have seen, Fiona, as I'm speaking, you are one of the examples. As a child, not born by us, but I hear you always in conversation with Papa every day or every other day, having some serious, intimate conversations that, maybe you may not be able to have that conversation with your real parents, but you found friendship. And this is what we are talking about, the friendship in bringing up children, where you feel safe to express yourself and where you are listened to. It's all about listening and hearing. You can listen, but not hear.
Okay.
You can listen. You'll be listening. You can lend a listening ears, but you cannot hear what the person is saying. There's a deeper level to that. So if I'm listening to you, I'll be listening to you, all right, but may not be hearing what you're saying.
Okay.
In this environment where a child is allowed to choose their sex, what they want to be, and what they want, how they want to live their life, there are laws and rules governing this here in our society here. So you can't ask a child, if a child says, okay, I'm born a woman and I want to be a boy, you have little influence over that if the child has a strong feeling to that. And it's a very difficult discussion to have with a child. I don't have the answer to that because none of our kids have come up with that. But people that we've seen, people we've heard, or I have heard, it's not an easy conversation to have. And it's not an easy thing to talk about. We only hear about policies guiding these issues. And here, it's not like back home. They have rules and regulations, even about raising your own child in your home. So it's not a clear-cut thing as to what your child wants. You give birth to a child healthy, and the child tells you, I want to identify with that, or I want to identify with this, or I want to call myself a disabled person. There is nothing. If we are living in Ghana, then you can say you have a stronger say in persuading the child not to go that way. But here, if the child goes to school and per discussion, the child raises this issue, it can turn it into a big thing for you here. You may even end up losing your child.
Wow.
So it's that serious. So you don't just that is where the friendship comes in. If the child is able to talk to you and you're able to talk to your child, and you're able to sit down and not you are talking to your child, but not in an angry manner or in an imposing. People do that. But if you want your child not to rebel and do exactly what they want to do, you have to find a friend in your child.
Okay.
Mama Makeda asked a question in the chat that what if your child does not like your approach or something like that, your way of upbringing, what do you do? Kind of. That is also a tricky question because it varies from home to home and a parent to parent. Like I said earlier on, what will work for me may not necessarily work for somebody else. So that's the little I can say about this.
Okay. So this person asking the question is adding to it. Okay, he says his name is James, and he says sometimes friends fall out. Does that happen with parenting too?
Yes.
I think okay.
Yes, it's very common. It's very common that we fall out. for instance, you wake up in the morning, your child knows that he has to dress his bed, and he doesn't dress his bed, and he gets out, and he wants to go out, or he has a chore, and maybe you've been saying that over and over and over again. You can snap one day and have harsh words with your child, but that doesn't mean that you don't love the child. Yeah, that is where what I was saying, that there is friendship and there's also discipline. You can be friends with your child and still instill discipline in your child. Not the military kind of discipline where your child can approach you, your child have to say yes sir to you before they talk to you. That's not the kind of you can have. It's a fine line. It's a not a fine line. It's actually the way you don't want your friends to annoy you. You also don't want to annoy your friends. That's how simple it is.
Wow.
And I have a question. Do you find that parenting your daughter is different from parenting your son? I feel like it's easy for me to have a friendship with my son. It's not so easy with my daughter. I have to make that line. I have to constantly monitor that line with her. Yeah.
It is. It is. I'm more friendlier with. Actually, our daughter is like a. Strangely, I've not thought about this because we have different relationships with all our children. They all have different characters, so we relate to them different. The way I relate to my older son is different from the way I relate to the last boy. And it's different from the way I relate to our daughter. Our daughter lives far away from us, about 2 hours away from us. We don't talk every day, but when we start talking, it's like she's never left. The conversation, and when she's around, it's like she's not gone anywhere. Our oldest here, the older ones are back home, but the oldest here lives not far from us. He too, when he comes home, it's a different dynamics. The friendship there and the conversations are different. Yeah, they are all individuals, so we don't bunch them when we are dealing with them. We treat them according to who they are. So that's me.
Wow. Okay, so
maybe Papa will have something to say to that, but that is how I relate to our children. They all have individual characters and individual lives. So, like Dalalom, for instance, will wake up, will not sleep early, just like us, sleep very late, wakes up. He's always indoors. He doesn't like going out so much. You have to force him out. So that is him. The other one is different. Sananu is different. So the way you relate with all of them, you relate with them, and Dalalom talks less. So it's not like the way Sananu, I will have a long chat with Sananu. I can't have the same long chat with Dalalom because he doesn't talk much. He will talk, and he will talk quietly at you or with you, but the friendship is there.
Yeah, beautiful. So we have another question here. Sometimes parents, this is from Nana Hima. Sometimes parents are so strict, so much so that the mother-daughter or son-father relationship is almost non-existent. How do you deal with a problem like this, please? I think we have addressed that by saying that we should strike this friendship between ourselves and then our children. And this friendship should not be devoid of the discipline.
Yeah.
So they should identify us as they should identify parents as their friends, and they should have that discipline to also know that they are their parents. Now them born you.
Yeah, you see, like I said earlier on, the parenting style is different. It is how you start with them from childhood. This thing is built from childhood. You can't just jump in and start doing. You can do that, but it takes time. But if you have created that friendship with your child, for instance, we had a granddaughter in this house, somebody who came to school and then she had a baby, and then we became grandparents automatically. This baby went to Denmark. The mother went to Denmark to study, so the baby went with her. When they came back, you would think that the way I was relating with the baby would disappear, or she would not remember. But in fact, the two of us, me and Papa, we used to, when she was born, we used to have conversations with the baby. When I'm bathing for the baby, I have my own, which is we have our own way of communication. When I pick her up, she will have this argument, like back and forth. When Papa picks her up, she'll have this calm conversation, sing and do also that if you see a baby singing, you'll be surprised. She'll be singing and be doing all sorts with Papa. Me, when it comes to bath time and eating and trying to let the baby poo, it's a struggle. We have our own conversation. I thought by now the baby will forget about it, but the baby came back and she remembered. She remembered that she had these conversations and this relationship with us. And so if you build this with the child will not forget. I don't know how, if I'm expressing myself, I'll leave it for the Papa to talk, but I don't know if I'm expressing myself well.
Yeah, I think the important thing there is that, right from the onset, you don't assume the baby is a baby, so they don't understand.
Okay.
They understand everything, even before they came out. The only difference is that they don't have your language to communicate what they want to communicate. And it doesn't mean they are not communicating. So from that point, you have to position yourself where you can understand the baby's language and respond accordingly.
Wow.
And that is the beginning of the type of friendship you develop with whether it's your child, your grandchild, um, that foundation is crucial. And I'm glad you raised that, Nadenswa, because most of the time we miss that important stage of developing a friendship. Most of us tend to speak baby language to babies, but they don't need that. They need your language so that they can learn it and be able to communicate with you.
And I want to say, and it's never too late either. If this is something that you want to have with your parents, then you can start the friendship now. It will be a lot of times when our offspring, our children, make changes in their lives and decisions that aren't like ours, they don't tell us.
Yeah.
But if you and then you're confused, you don't know what's going on, and then there's argument or whatever. But if you're starting now, realize that the best thing to do is to start the friendship now and learn how to communicate with each other. So you can come to your mom and say, I know that this was good for you and your marriage and so on and so forth, but I don't want to do it that way. And to let them know that you're not just being belligerent or whatever, but you want to do something different. And all of us, and I'm speaking for mamas and daddies, want the best for you. Everybody who is in their right mind, who are parents, want the best for you. So a lot of times we just don't sometimes know any better, and sometimes if we do know better, we're afraid. And so realize that, so that when you get ready to make changes, the easiest way is to start the friendship wherever you are.
Yeah, I remember when I went home with dreadlocks in 2004. It It was something. My mom. So I used to drop my mom at church, and she would she would force me to wear a cap over my dreadlocks before I
You
took.
see, you
I
see,
know. I know.
24 years.
And it's funny. I cut it when she died. You know,
Oh,
and there was that. There were instances like that where we did not agree, but it didn't take away anything from the respect between us. It did not take away, the friendship. I just stood my grounds, and that's all I needed to do.
it was my grandmother. She said, "Do you wash it? Does it stink?"
Wow, wow, wow. This conversation is getting so interesting. And then I think we've gone far away from our closing time. We're supposed to end this meeting at 9 p.m. And I want to thank all of you that are still here with us. I don't know if Nancy Ndeke is still here, but if she isn't, I understand it's far late
I
in
think
Kenya
she
right now. Yes, it's far late in Kenya right now. Mishu is still here. Thank you for staying on. Papa, did you say something?
Yeah, I'll just say Mishi is still here.
Yes, Mishu is still here. All right. So all of you here, thank you so much for staying on till now. We're just taking questions from all of you. If you have more questions, you can just ask in the chat box or you raise your hand and then we call you. At this point, I want to remind you that this program is brought to you by Creative Coachy and Adinka Links Network and also sponsored by Sugar Water. Yes, I would want to quickly put in this announcement. So we're calling for submissions for poems, essays, stories on the issue of skin bleaching and skin cancers. In May, we had our discussion on skin bleaching and skin cancers, and we want to compile an anthology to that effect. So well, if you check our website and social media handles, that's at creativecgh.com. That's the website, and at creativecgh on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You'll see us advertising the call for submissions. So I know a lot of you here are creatives. Kindly do us the honor to submit your essays, your poems, illustrations to like for this course, we really want to carry the gospel out there. That's the skin that we have, every shade of it is beautiful, and therefore we do not need to bleach it. We do not need to change it for any reason. We need to appreciate it as it is because it is beautiful. Thank you so much. And the conversation today is about parenting, living the unfulfilled dreams to children. And we've come to understand that as individuals, when you have it in mind that you have a child, or when you have a child, you are charged not to betray their trust because they trust you enough to choose you as a parent, and therefore you shouldn't betray that trust. You should serve as a guide in their lives from the beginning of their lives throughout to the end. And we should strike this friendship with our children so that we can have this mutual enrichment from each other. So from this, I have come to learn that the moment I make up my mind, or in the event where I have a child, it doesn't matter the dreams that I have in line or the goals that I want to achieve, I should make sure that, or I should try not to want to impose it on my children. I should have that friendship with them where they can fulfill their God-given gifts or dreams or purpose without my interference. I can only serve as a guide. I can only serve as the well from which they will keep running to get water when they are thirsty. So this is what I have gathered from today. And I've also learned that this generation, we are the change that the world has been waiting for. And therefore, a great responsibility lies on our shoulders. And from learning from the mistakes and the successes of our predecessors, of our senior citizens, of our elders, it gives us that advantage to be able to do better. So in our generation, if we are still doing things wrongly, then it means we still haven't learned. And learning never stops. We are fortunate to have that great platform to learn from people, from homes to offices to social media. There are people that you can learn from in order to have a good life in this era, in this generation. Thank you so much for being with us. And to our awesome guests, tonight has been very interesting. The stories are so interesting. The wisdom you've poured onto us are just mind blowing. And I want to take a comment from Nesta. I don't know if he's still here. I think Nesta is gone. Okay. I really wanted to hear from Nesta because he was like, he hasn't had a conversation like this for some time. So I really wanted to hear from him. Okay. So to my guest, I would want to say final words from
Please,
all of you.
Madam Fiona, somebody
Yes, yes.
I think, and I write,
Okay.
and I write post something. If he said, well, I don't know if this would take time, but a brief on how to nurture a child's emotional intelligence, how to control temper and stuff. So I don't know if someone wanted to help him in that regard.
Okay.
That's a whole topic for discussion.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Yeah. I was going to suggest that, Fiona,
yes,
you bring back for a part 2 of this session, because there is still a lot of things that have not been touched on, like
definitely
the actual topic of the day.
Yes.
Parents living their dreams through their children.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should make a part 2 of this.
Yes. Someone is even asking in the comments that I wish there can be a part 2 of this though. And yes, personally, I just listening to all the submissions, I was like, no, this 2 hours is not enough to digest this topic. We definitely need to do it like a series so we are done, because this is really packed. I think I kind of underestimated the topic. You shouldn't do that next time. Okay, thank you so much. So with and I write question, what are we saying to him?
Like Papa said, it's a whole topic on its own. But like we were saying, sometimes a child throwing a tantrum means there's something making that child uneasy. So if you can have patience to sit with the child and let the child finish throwing their tantrums, and then you actually get to the bottom of it without you getting angry or getting frustrated in the process, maybe you can understand what the child is up to. And about nurturing a child's what did he say? Nurturing a child's
emotional
and emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. See, every child grows at a different pace, right? So what you expect a child at 10-year-old, you may have 2 10-year-olds standing there. One's learning ability is higher than or catches things faster than the other. This is where you have to study your child. You have to know your child and not say that Kwekubano, Kweku's child is you and Kweku's child and that is one thing that parents do that is very wrong. Always comparing our children to other people's children. Kojo's child, you are the same age with Kojo's child, you are the same class with Kojo's child. Why can't you be like Kojo's child? That is something that beats the children. Like it's a it brings the child's it actually kills something in them. I have lived it. It's a lived experience. It kills something in you. So you don't want that for your child. Yeah. So if you do that, you think it is the things we say to our children that makes them feel like they are not intelligent enough. Or that makes you see them. If every day you call your child, you say your child is stupid. How else will you see your child than stupid? Do you get me? So it is what we say to our child or our children in anger. I'm guilty of it as well. Sometimes I get so angry and I say things like that. So, but when you are angry and you are able to know that, oh, I have done something wrong, and I can go to the child and apologize and explain what you've done to the child, sometimes it helps. But the first place, you not getting angry or trying to make sure that when it comes, I know we African mothers, we say one thing, but if in the heat of the moment you get angry and you say so much. But if we can learn to dull our tongues, because what you say to a child in their formative years, that's what they live with and that's what they grow with. So if you want your child a mental intelligence or whatever it is to grow, you have to nurture that. How many books does he or she read a day? What stories, what encouraging stories are you telling that child? What example are you living for the child to emulate? So it's not like Papa said, it's not it's a whole topic on its own.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I want to share how please, is that time, if possible, possibly I can share how I personally deal with anger, that almost everybody thinks I never get angry. Yeah, so when there is an issue, maybe somebody offends me and I have to react. I have to react because I feel genuinely I have been offended. But what I do most of the time is to put myself in the person's shoe and then measure the things I want to tell the person and say, if I was wrong and the person was coming to treat me the way I wanted to treat the person, will I be happy even though I was wrong? So once I'm able to put myself in the person's shoe, I just say, okay, it's not well saying the things you want to say or doing the things you want to do. And it kills any anger or any reactions I want to give. And people begin to be wondering, but this person is insulting you or doing this, and then you are there watching the person. Who you dear, and it kills it. So it has really saved me from a lot of stuff, because should you find yourself in a situation where people are like, do something, they are daring you, and you want to take actions, and what you end up doing is very dangerous or could even lead you to stuff that you didn't expect. So that is how I deal with my anger related stuff. I don't know how, but if it is nice for I write or anybody, perhaps it can be adopted. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Molly. Okay. So final words, and we are out of here, and we would have to prepare and come for a part 2. So all those asking for a part 2, watch out. We'll definitely come back for a part 2. So you just have to stay glued to our social media handles so that whenever it's out, you would save
Okay,
the
with
date
final
and
words.
join us. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say that But we have to be mindful of our words whenever we are angry. Okay, with what we say always maintains, or we see them, and anger being emotion will just leave, or will just be off, just but for a moment. So we must pay attention to our content, what we release on our children whenever that they offend us. We should be careful of what we'll be saying, other than that we are going to deform their lives, and of which we can know, because everything that we're going to say is just going to settle in their spirit. We have a lot of children being coward, a lot of children thinking that they are inferior because of what they have heard, because of what they have heard. So anytime that we are angry, like, let us be mindful of what we say. Let us guide our words. Let us pay attention to that. Make sure what you are saying, as our dear brother said, what you are saying, if someone is releasing onto you, are you going to be happy? Yeah, let us, with the friendship that our boss said, let us use that one as a point of reflection, okay, or point of study. That if I'm a friend to my child and I'm releasing certain words to my child, take for instance that if my child was to be an age mate with me, am I going to be permitted, or am I going to be in peace, or be in the mood to accept whatever the friend will be saying, because we are co-headed person? No, because the person is a child, or because we have our child, we don't think about that one, and we just release words. So my simple information is this: that we must pay attention, be critical with what we are going to say. Be critical with what we are going to say, because a lot of parents are doing harm to their children without them knowing. Yeah, they are causing a lot of harm, and children are suffering because of this one. They can't talk. They can't move. Why am I saying all these things? Because it's happened to me before. Yeah, I can remember when we have group discussions in schools. Then stars, I'll be mute. Then star, yeah, I'll be mute, because I was not trained to speak. And it's in the family gathering, when you try to speak, they'll be telling you like, "Oh, you are not mature, you are not of age, you need not to say this or whatsoever." So that essence of expressing yourself was not developed. It was when I was growing up, then I decided that, oh, this is what I'll be doing. Okay, this is the vision that I am partaking. So I need to speed up with speaking. So many children are crying, and let us help them with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. It was nice having you with us. And definitely, if we come back for a part two, we'll be coming back with you. Yes. Uh, thank you
God.
so much. Thank you so much. Yes, because this conversation, it looks like the main thing hasn't really been touched, but
Sure,
I think
sure.
for now we can take this home and then begin to practice with it while we wait for a comeback for a part two to add more wisdom to what we have gotten today. So thank you very much for being part of this life-changing
Wow.
conversation.
Thank you also.
God bless.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So before we take final words from Mama Makida, um we will be uploading a recording of this meeting on YouTube, so you can go and watch or listen to the recording, so that the portions that you missed out on, you'll be able to get them. And then also you can watch the video in order to like refresh your mind on what you have learned from this place today. Mama Makida. Hello, Mama Makida. Or am I muted? Oh no. Okay. All right. So while we wait
Can
for
you hear
Mama
me?
Makida.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know
you're
I was
good
saying
back.
final words. But let me just say this as
Okay.
as someone who is
Oh, I just love Africa so much. And my people is that I am so, I feel so blessed to be a part of this discussion, knowing that whatever seeds are dropped here will be planted in the youth, and that our experience here on earth will be different than it has been, and that our children don't have to suffer in the ways that they do now that we didn't even know about. And that as we begin to have these conversations, that that we pass them on to our children and our grandchildren, not telling them what to do, but asking them what their opinion is, and allowing them to have an opinion, and allowing them to be themselves and to speak um, and to change the world. Actually, I want to thank everybody who is here. Um, you live inside of me now, and I live in you. And I can't wait for us to come back and discuss something else, so that 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 joy and communion can be felt again. So thank you so much for answering the call to, as my sister said, to lead this discussion, and to this is your work, and we will bless it. We will bless it in any way that we can. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Mama Makida. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. God bless you for answering the call to be a blessing to us. All right. Nadenswa, our sweet mommy.
Well, I just want to say thank you and let what I said earlier on be my last words, because I said a lot about how how we talk to our kids. If we want our kids to grow well, how we talk to them. So it's just about finding the balance. In like we've all established, there are no manuals. And also to say thank you so much for letting us be part of your dreams, especially inviting me to come and be part of this is much appreciated. So
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for saying yes. All right. Grandpa.
Yes, I remember to unmute. Yeah, I think at this point, the only thing I want to draw attention to is gratitude, the blessing of gratitude, and in all things, you know. So, yeah, by that, I'm expressing thanks to everybody for coming, joining this conversation and having this conversation in the manner in which we've had it. I feel very enriched. I feel that there is still more that we can explore together and continue to grow together in how we understand ourselves and how we understand the role we play in each other's lives. So thank you so much. I would implore all of us to continue being grateful, for life and for the role we play in other people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Papa, for enriching us as much as we enrich you. Okay, so Abigail, thanks for your presence. And I write, thanks for your presence, Hilda, Asari. You're supposed to take the comments. I was so lost in the conversation that I didn't call you to take the comments. Kindly forgive me. Mali, thanks for the good work you're doing behind the scene. And Telabi Bukari, thanks for being here with us. And James, who is joining us with the name user, thanks for being with us from start to now. Tony Bafo, thank you. for sharing your wisdom with us. Hannah, thanks for
Always
joining
welcome and
us.
thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. Albert Abuaje, you've been with us from beginning to now. Thank you so much. Mishu, you blessed us with such beautiful music, and you've been with us all through to this time. Thank you so much. I understand how late it is at your end there, but you're still here with us. Thank you for being here. I love you, sister. All right. So at this point, we have come to the end of today's conversation, and I am honored to do this with you. I'm so happy to have you do this with me. So until then, we come your way again with Live Good Conversations, and I pray that whenever we call on you to join us and reach each other, you would be available and have the resources to answer the call. Thank you very much. At this point, we have closed. If you have a feedback you want to give to us, you can stay on the call as we do that. If you want to exit, you can exit now. Yes. So yeah, we've come to the end. Molly, do you want to give us guitar strings? Or Papa wants to, who's playing? Please. Or Papa wants to bless us with a flute. Please, technical team, kindly mute the song. Papa wants to
I
bless
think
us.
somebody's already playing some nice music.
We want authentic music from Papa's flute. Or what instrument are you giving to us tonight? I can't wait to hear Nadine Swa sing someday.
Well, she's there right now.
No, not today.
Today she's in the elements of parenting.
See, go ahead.
So yes.
Not today.
I'm frozen.
You're not free.
Okay. Papa, you're back.
Yeah. My internet goes off and on.
Okay.
I think I'll play some recorded thing for you. It's an album I'm working on with my Kenyan brother Ben
Okay.
and Mukabwa. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Tumetoka mbali we, tumepitia moto, tumepitia baridi we, na milima na mabonde, mvua na ukame, jasho, down. Tumetoka mbali we. Ninya fie chubona, note ninya fie chongo inaro. Nere ninya fie chubona re. Ya nya fie tu chongo inaro. Micho, micho birezo, micholo, micho kaba. No, we know where we coming. We know where we're going to. We know our history, so we are carving our future. The future is bright. Let's rise up and go. The future is bright. Let's rise up and go. Twisting and turning, we come out right. Oh, ching, ching, ching. Twisting and turning, we come out right. Ching, ching, ching.
That's Rise Up. Fiona, you're muted.
This song is beautiful. That's all I can say about it. Papa, you're muted.
Watch out for the release before the year ends.
Wow. Awesome.